The morning on Riverside Station was calm. The sun rose over the hills, and the light touched the silver towers of the colony. People went about their day, unaware that something was about to change forever. Commander Daniel stood on the balcony of the command building, watching the wide-open plains beyond the settlement. He liked mornings here. It was quiet, safe, and far away from the troubles of Earth. Inside the control room, Science Officer Mira was already at her station. She was studying the data from the deep space sensors. Her eyes narrowed as the readings became unusual. There was a strange repeating pattern in the signal. It was not random. It felt like someone was trying to send a message. "Daniel, you should see this," she called. Daniel stepped in, holding his coffee. "What is it this time? Another asteroid warning?" Mira shook her head. "No, this is different. The signal is coming from beyond our scanning range. It's strong, deliberate, and it feels like a warning." They replayed the signal several times. Each time, the same strange pattern appeared. Mira worked to translate it using the colony's language programs, but the results made little sense. Still, one word kept appearing in the translation attempt. "Leave." Daniel felt uneasy. "Who would tell us to leave? We have been here for over 10 years. There's no other colony anywhere close." Before they could discuss it further, the main radar officer spoke. "Commander, we have unidentified ships entering our sector. Large ships. Multiple." Daniel's voice turned firm. "Put it on the main display." The big screen lit up, showing 3 massive vessels moving toward Riverside Station. They were shaped like sharp wings, black and silver, with a faint blue glow along their sides. Their size was unlike anything the colony had ever seen. The air in the room grew tense. "Are they broadcasting any signal?" Daniel asked. "Yes, sir. It matches the strange pattern from earlier," Mira replied. The ship slowed and entered orbit above the planet. Then a voice came through the comm system, deep and smooth but carrying a tone of authority. "Humans of Riverside Station. This world belongs to the Zerath Empire. You will evacuate within 3 planetary cycles. If you remain, we will remove you." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at Daniel. The message was clear. The Zerath were not asking. They were demanding. Daniel took a deep breath. "Open a channel. I will respond." When the link was active, Daniel spoke slowly. "This is Commander Daniel of Riverside Station. This is our home. We have lived here for many years. We are peaceful settlers. We mean no harm." The voice of the Zerath leader returned. "Your presence is a violation of our claim. This planet contains resources vital to our survival. You will leave, or you will be destroyed." The channel closed. No further words came. Mira glanced at Daniel. "They're not going to negotiate." Daniel nodded. "No. They've already decided what they want." The Colony Council gathered that afternoon. Representatives from farming districts, mining, crews, and research labs filled the meeting hall. Daniel explained the situation. Murmurs of fear spread through the crowd. Some argued that they should leave before it was too late. Others, especially those who had built their homes here from nothing, refused to give up. Mira stood and spoke to the group. "This planet is more than our home. It holds rare minerals in its crust. I have reason to believe that's why the Zerath want it. If we leave, they will take everything, and all our work will be for nothing." An older miner named Thomas slammed his hand on the table. "I've worked these lands for 15 years. My family is buried here. I will not run because some alien claims it's theirs." Voices grew louder. Daniel raised his hand for silence. "We have 3 days to decide. I will not force anyone to stay. But know this. If we give up now, we may never find another home as good as this." That night, Daniel walked the quiet streets of the colony. Families sat together inside their homes. Children played in the park, unaware of the danger above. In the sky, the 3 Zerath ships shone like dark stars. They did not attack yet, but their presence was a constant reminder that time was running out. Mira joined him. "Do you think they'll really attack?" "Yes," Daniel said. "But if we leave without a fight, we'll lose more than land. We'll lose who we are." Mira looked up at the glowing ships. "Then we need to prepare." Daniel nodded. "Tomorrow we begin." And so the first day of the countdown began. Above them, the Zerath watched in silence, confident that the humans would flee. But Daniel knew better. Humanity had come too far to run now. The second morning after the Zerath's arrival was heavy with silence. People spoke in whispers, as if loud voices might draw the attention of the ships above. The colony's fields still needed tending, machines still needed repairs, but the air carried tension like a storm that refused to break. Commander Daniel walked into the control room where the staff looked tired from working through the night. The large screens still showed the 3 alien ships in orbit. They had not moved. They were waiting. Mira sat at her station, her eyes fixed on a data feed. "They scanned the planet again last night," she told Daniel. "Same deep scans over the mountain range to the north." "That's where the richest mineral veins are," Daniel replied. "They're looking for exactly what you said." Before they could talk more, a sudden alert filled the room. The communication system lit up, and the same deep alien voice from before echoed through the speakers. "Humans of Riverside Station, this is Velron of the Zerath Empire. You have 2 planetary cycles left. Evacuate your people and your belongings. We will not repeat this warning again." The message ended without further words. The sound left behind was the quiet hum of the machines. Daniel looked around the room. "Send word to the council. We meet in 1 hour." The council chamber was full again. Farmers with dirt still on their hands, engineers in dusty uniforms, and scientists carrying data tablets all crowded. The tables. Daniel stood at the front. "We have 2 days," he said. 2 days to decide whether we stay or leave. A council member named Helena leaned forward. "If we fight, we risk losing everything. The Zerath ships could burn the colony to the ground in minutes." Thomas, the miner from before, spoke in his deep voice. "And if we leave, we lose it all anyway. This land, our homes, our work. Everything we built here with our own hands." Mira stepped forward with her tablet. "I've been studying the mineral samples from the northern mountains. The readings are stronger than anything I've seen. It's a rare element, probably. What the Zerath want. If we had time, we could use it to improve our defenses. I believe it could be used as an energy booster for our weapons and shields." Helena shook her head. "You're saying we stay and fight with the hope of using something we've never tested in combat?" Mira nodded. "Yes, because if we retreat now, they will follow us wherever we go. This mineral will make them stronger if they get it." A young engineer named Lewis spoke up from the back. "Commander, our outer sensor station picked up movement yesterday. Smaller Zerath ships passed through the asteroid belt. They could be scouting for other colonies." Daniel's voice turned firm. "That means they are expanding. We are not their only target. If we stand here, maybe we can buy time for others." There was a long silence. People exchanged glances. Finally, Thomas broke it. "If we're going to fight, we need every hand. Farmers, miners, mechanics, everyone will have a job." Helena exhaled slowly. "I still think it's madness, but I will not walk away while others stay." The vote was taken. The result was close, but the choice was made. Riverside Station would not evacuate. That afternoon, preparations began. The colony's engineers inspected the defense turrets, which had not been used in years. Mechanics worked on the few patrol ships they had, adding armor from spare mining plates. Miners began transporting the rare mineral to the research lab, where Mira and her team started testing it in small energy cells. Daniel moved from group to group, offering guidance. He knew their defenses were weak compared to the Zirath's power, but the people's determination was stronger than he expected. No one complained. Even the children, sensing the seriousness, stayed close to their families and helped where they could. By evening, the sun dipped below the hills, and the colony lights came on. The glow of Riverside Station stood out against the dark plains. Above, the 3 alien ships still hovered in orbit, watching silently. Mira joined Daniel near the observation deck. "The mineral tests are promising," she said. "If we can finish the weapon upgrades by tomorrow night, we might have a chance." Daniel gave a small smile. "Then tomorrow night, we'll be ready." Mira looked up at the sky. "Do you think they're underestimating us?" Daniel's eyes stayed fixed on the ships. "Yes, and I hope they keep doing it. Because when the time comes, I want them to be surprised." The night passed with the hum of activity. Workshops glowed with light as people worked late. Patrol ships made slow circles around the colony. The sound of machinery filled the air, mixed with the steady beat of determination in every heart. High above, the Zerath fleet remained still, but deep inside the largest ship, Velran watched the human activity through his command screen. His second officer spoke quietly. "They are preparing for a fight." Velran's voice was calm. "Let them. It will make their fall more complete." The countdown continued. 2 days remained, but the humans of Riverside Station were no longer afraid. They were preparing to stand their ground, no matter the cost. The last day of the Zarath's countdown began with an uneasy stillness. The colony's people worked quietly, their eyes often lifting toward the sky where 3 massive alien ships hovered like silent predators. Commander Daniel stood in the command center reviewing patrol reports. "Any movement from the fleet?" he asked. Mira shook her head. "Nothing yet, but I don't think they'll wait for the full day to end." Daniel was about to respond when a sudden alert sounded. The radar officer spoke quickly. "Commander, we have multiple incoming signals. Small craft. They're heading toward Outpost Delta." Daniel's stomach tightened. Outpost Delta was a small mining station about 20 kilometers east of the main colony. It had only a few workers and minimal defenses. "Get me a channel to the outpost," Daniel ordered. A crackling voice answered. "Commander, we see ships, 3 of them, coming in fast. We don't have the means to—" The voice cut off, replaced by static. Daniel turned to Mira. "Get the patrol ships ready. We move now." Within minutes, 3 small human patrol ships launched from Riverside Station. Daniel piloted the lead craft with Mira beside him as navigator. The engines roared as they flew low over the plains, staying under the enemy's orbital sensors as long as possible. As they neared the outpost, the horizon filled with the dark shapes of the Zerath attack craft. They were sleek and sharp, moving, like hunting birds. One had already fired on the outpost's storage building, sending smoke into the air. "Lock weapons," Daniel said. "Target the lead ship." The patrol ships opened fire, their energy bolts flashing through the sky. The Zerath craft moved quickly, dodging most of the shots, but one bolt struck the side of the lead enemy ship, making it wobble. "They're faster than us," Mira warned. "We'll have to outthink them." Daniel scanned the landscape below. "There, those rock spires. If we fly through them, they'll have to slow down." The human ships dove toward the ground, weaving between tall, jagged rock pillars that jutted from the plains. The Zerath followed, but their larger wings made turning harder. One enemy craft scraped a rock and spun out of control, crashing into the ground below. "That's one down," Daniel said, his voice steady. "Stay sharp." The 2 remaining Zerath ships pressed the attack, firing bursts of energy. One blast grazed Daniel's left wing, making the ship shudder. Mira kept scanning for an opening. "There's a narrow canyon ahead," she said quickly. "If we lead them in and then break upward at the last moment," Daniel understood at once. "Let's do it." The patrol ships sped into the canyon, the walls closing in around them. The Zerath chased, firing as they came. Just before the canyon ended, Daniel and the other pilots pulled their ships upward sharply, clearing the ridge. The Zarath ships tried to follow, but one clipped the edge of the rock and burst into smoke. The last one, seeing its wingmate destroyed, turned and fled toward the fleet in orbit. With the skies clear, the patrol ships landed at Outpost Delta. The damage was light, and the miners inside were shaken but unharmed. Daniel spoke to them directly. "We're bringing you back to Riverside for safety. They'll be back, and we can't defend you out here alone." One miner nodded. "We saw what you did. They won't forget that." The return flight to the colony was quiet. Mira finally spoke. "We just gave the Zerath their first loss here." Daniel kept his eyes on the horizon. "They won't take it well. But now they know we won't run." Back at Riverside Station, word of the skirmish spread quickly. People gathered in the central square listening as Daniel explained what happened. The victory was small, but it gave the colony hope. Thomas, the miner, stepped forward. "If we can win once, we can win again. We just need to keep working." Mira showed the engineers new readings from the mineral-enhanced weapons. "They performed better than expected," she said. "We can boost all our turrets by tomorrow." Daniel agreed. "Good, because the Zerath won't make the same mistake twice. They'll come in force next time." That night, as Daniel stood on the observation deck, he looked at the alien fleet above. He imagined Velrun, the Zerath leader, watching him back. In the shadows of space, both sides were planning their next moves. Far above, on the command bridge of the largest ship, Velrun listened to his officers report the loss of 2 fighters. His expression remained calm, but his eyes narrowed. "So the humans wish to resist," he said softly. "Then we will show them what the Zerath Empire does, to those who defy us." The first skirmish was over, but the war had truly begun. 3 days had passed since the skirmish at Outpost Delta. The excitement from the small victory was fading, replaced by a growing sense of pressure. The Zerath fleet had not attacked again, but they had changed their tactics. The humans saw it first in the sky. More alien ships appeared, positioning themselves in a wide circle around the planet. Supply ships from other colonies tried to approach Riverside Station but were stopped by the Zerath. It was clear now a blockade had begun. Inside the control center, Commander Daniel studied the latest reports. "Food shipments from New Horizon Colony have been turned away," Mira said, her voice tense. "We have enough supplies for maybe 2 weeks if we ration," Daniel frowned. "And fuel?" "Less than that," she replied. "If we run out, we won't be able to move our patrol ships at all." The news weighed heavily on Daniel. The blockade meant no reinforcements, no new weapons, and no escape for anyone on the planet. In the streets of Riverside Station, life continued, but the changes were visible. Farmers worked harder to gather every bit of food they could. Engineers dismantled unused machines to salvage parts for repairs. The people moved with purpose, but there was no mistaking the worry in their eyes. That evening, the Colony Council met again. Tomas the miner spoke first. "If they're cutting us off, it's because they're waiting for us to grow weak. We can't let that happen." Helena, the council member, crossed her arms. "And what do you suggest? We can't fight a whole fleet without supplies." Mira stepped forward, holding her datapad. "I've been running more tests on the mineral from the northern mountains. We've confirmed it can increase the energy output of our weapons by 50%. But it's not just for weapons. It can also power our defense shields for longer periods. If we can get enough of it, we can hold out much longer than they expect." Daniel listened carefully. "The mining teams will need protection. If the Zerath are watching, they won't let us move freely." Thomas nodded. "Then we move at night. The terrain in the mountains will help hide us." The first night operation began the next day after sunset. Small convoys of trucks and haulers moved quietly along dirt tracks, their lights dimmed to avoid detection. Patrol ships flew low overhead, scanning the skies for enemy movement. Daniel joined the lead convoy. The cold air of the mountains cut through his jacket, but he stayed focused. Every load of mineral brought back to the colony meant more time. They could survive the blockade. By dawn, the first wave of trucks returned safely. Mira and her team immediately began processing the mineral, feeding it into weapon systems and shield generators. The effect was clear. The colony's defensive power was growing, but the Zirath were not blind. On the bridge of his flagship, Velran watched the human activity with narrowed eyes. His second officer reported, "They are reinforcing their defenses instead of surrendering." Their patrol ships moved during night hours. Velran's voice was calm but cold. "They think shadows will hide them. Increase the blockade. Position more ships near the mountains. Starve them of hope." The next week brought new challenges. The Zirath began targeting the colony's communication relays, cutting off messages to and from other human settlements. The silence made Riverside Station feel more isolated than ever. Inside the workshop, Lewis the engineer worked on an old transport ship, stripping it for useful components. Mira joined him. "We'll need every scrap we can get. If the Zirath launch a direct strike, we must be ready." Lewis gave a tired smile. "I just hope our upgrades will be enough." Daniel spent long hours walking through the colony, speaking to the people. He knew morale was as important as weapons. Children asked him if the aliens would come down. He always gave the same answer: "Not while we stand together." One evening, while standing on the observation deck, Daniel noticed the blockade ship's shifting position. Mira joined him, looking at the same pattern. "They're closing in," she said. Daniel nodded. "They've waited long enough. The next attack won't be small like at Outpost Delta." Later that night, the colony's alarm sirens wailed. The radar screens showed multiple Zirath landing craft leaving the blockade ships and heading toward the planet. Mira's voice was steady but urgent. "They're coming in fast. Looks like they're aiming for the mountain region. Probably to cut off our mineral supply." Daniel's eyes hardened. "Then that's where we'll meet them." He turned to the communications officer. "Alert! All patrol pilots! Arm the turrets. Tonight, we show them that Riverside Station is still standing." Above the dark hills, the faint lights of enemy ships grew brighter as they descended, their engines glowing against the night sky. The blockade was no longer just in space. The war was coming to the ground. The attack on the mountains never fully came. The Zirath landing craft circled the area for hours, but did not land. Instead, they destroyed several transport routes and then returned to orbit. It was clear they wanted to weaken Riverside Station's ability to move the mineral, not risk a full ground battle. Inside the command center, Daniel studied the map of enemy positions. Red markers showed the blockade ships around the planet. "They're tightening their grip," he said. "If we don't act soon, we'll run out of food before we run out of courage." Mira leaned over the table. "There's one weak point. That ship here, the one closest to the supply route from New Horizon Colony. If we take it out, we can open a path for at least one supply convoy to get through." Helena frowned. "That's their command relay for the Eastern Blockade. It won't be undefended." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. That's why we'll hit it at night, when their orbital sensors are weakest. We'll use our fastest ships and the mineral upgrades. It's risky, but it's our best shot." Preparations began immediately. Mechanics worked to reinforce the patrol ships, adding extra armor plating from salvaged mining equipment. The rare mineral was loaded into weapon cores, giving them more firepower than ever before. Pilots studied the route over and over until they could fly it in their sleep. Thomas volunteered to join the mission as a gunner. "I'm not a soldier," he said to Daniel, "but I can shoot straight, and if this works, it will keep my people alive." By the evening of the following day, the team was ready. 3 patrol ships would make the run. 2 would attack the relay ship directly, while the 3rd would circle around to disable its engines. If successful, the Zirath ship would be trapped and forced to retreat or be destroyed. Night fell over Riverside Station. The sky was clear, stars shining bright, but all eyes were on the dark shapes of the blockade above. The hangar doors opened, and the 3 human ships launched into the night. Their engines glowed faintly before dimming to avoid detection. Daniel piloted the lead ship with Mira as his co-pilot. Thomas sat behind them, hands ready on the turret controls. "If they spot us, I'll give them something to look at," he said with a determined grin. The journey through the darkness felt longer than it was. The silence inside the cockpit was only broken by Mira's calm voice, reading out distance and sensor readings. Finally, the massive silhouette of the Zerath relay ship came into view. It was a fortress in space, with towers of metal and glowing energy ports. "They haven't seen us yet," Mira whispered. "We're in the blind spot under their forward sensors." Daniel's hands tightened on the controls. "All ships, on my mark." At his signal, the 2 attack ships broke formation and powered their weapons. The upgraded mineral cores hummed with energy, sending bright streaks of fire toward the relay ship's shield. The first blasts lit up the darkness, and the enemy reacted instantly. Alarms flashed across the Zerath ship's hull as its turrets turned to return fire. Thomas fired the rear turret, striking one of the smaller enemy guns. "That's one less thing shooting at us," he called out. The 3rd human ship, piloted by Lewis, swooped around to the back of the relay ship. He fired 2 precision shots into its engine vents. Sparks and debris burst into space, and the massive vessel began to slow. "They're losing propulsion," Mira said. "Keep the pressure on," Daniel ordered. The fight grew intense. Energy bolts from the Zerath ship streaked past, one grazing Daniel's wing and sending warning lights flashing. But the humans kept moving, their smaller ships darting between blasts. With the mineral-enhanced weapons, they finally broke through the enemy's shields. "Direct hit on their power grid," Mira shouted. The relay ship's lights flickered, and its weapons went silent. It drifted helplessly, no longer a threat. Daniel opened a channel to all ships. "Target neutralized. Pull back before reinforcements arrive." The retreat was fast. The human ships sped away, disappearing into the shadow of the planet before the rest of the Zerath fleet could respond. When they landed back at Riverside Station, the hangar erupted with cheers. Helena rushed to meet them. "The supply convoy from New Horizon is on its way. Your attack cleared the path." Daniel smiled for the first time in days. "Good. We'll need every crate they can bring." Tomas climbed out of the turret seat, stretching. "Feels good to punch back once in a while." Mira's face was serious. "They'll know it was us. Next time, they'll send more ships." Daniel looked toward the sky. "Then we'll be ready. We've shown them we can hit back. That changes everything." Later that night, high above in his flagship, Velrin listened to the report of the destroyed relay ship. His officers expected him to be angry, but instead, he gave a slow, thoughtful smile. "The humans are bold," Velran said. "They are also dangerous. If they can break a blockade once, they can do it again. We will crush their spirit before they grow stronger." Back on Riverside Station, the people unloaded the first fresh supplies in weeks. The victory lifted their morale, but Daniel knew it was only the beginning. The war was far from over, and the next battle would decide much more than food or fuel. The days after the successful blockade mission were tense but hopeful. Riverside Station had received new supplies from New Horizon Colony, and the people worked tirelessly to strengthen their defenses. Patrol ships moved constantly, and mineral-enhanced. Weapons were installed on every turret. Commander Daniel walked along the central square, observing the workers and families. There was determination in every face, but he knew the Zerath would not wait long. Mira joined him, holding a tablet. "Sensors are picking up something unusual," she said. "A large ship, unlike any we've seen before. It's approaching from deep space." And it's massive. Daniel frowned. How massive? Bigger than their fleet combined, Mira replied. It looks like a warship designed to crush an entire colony in one attack. Daniel's heart tightened. Then, we need a plan that isn't about fighting it head-on. If we meet it in space, we lose. That night, the colony council gathered in the command hall. Daniel explained the situation. This is the Zerath's strongest ship. If it enters orbit, it will destroy everything we have. But we know the planet better than they do. There's one option. We lure it into the atmosphere and use the storms and gravity to our advantage. Helena's eyes widened. You want to bring a warship into the atmosphere? That sounds impossible? Daniel nodded. It is risky. One mistake and Riverside Station is gone. But if we do it right, we can weaken it enough to survive. The patrol. Ships will lead it toward the northern storms. Once it's in, we'll use mineral-enhanced explosives and the terrain to damage it. Mira spoke next. We also need decoys, drones, lights, false signals, anything to trick its sensors. It has never dealt with humans using the planet itself as a weapon. The council debated briefly but ultimately agreed. The colony would stand together. It was humanity's best and only chance. Preparations began immediately. Engineers worked day and night to create drones and set explosive traps. Pilots practiced maneuvers in simulation, imagining the massive Zerath warship descending from orbit. Families were evacuated to underground shelters, leaving only the defense teams above. Thomas and Lewis worked on a small fleet of patrol ships. We're not just flying, Thomas said. We're making sure the Zerath doesn't see what's coming until it's too late. Mira finalized the mineral-enhanced explosives. These can overload the ship's systems if we hit key points, she said. Timing will be everything. The morning of the attack, the sky was dark with clouds, and the wind howled through the mountain ridges. Daniel led the patrol ships out, drones flying ahead to create false readings on the Zerath sensors. Keep formation tight, Daniel said over the comms. Do exactly as we practiced. From orbit, the massive warship descended slowly, its sensors scanning for signs of human ships. The Zerath commander Velron did not expect a trap. The humans were clever, but the size of his ship gave him confidence. The patrol ships engaged, leading the warship toward the northern storm region. The Zerath fired bursts of energy, but the storm interfered with its targeting. Lightning flashed, making its sensors struggle to distinguish drones from real ships. Mira guided Daniel's ship. Now, Daniel, move to the canyon. It's narrow and full of wind currents. Lead it in. Daniel nodded and pushed the engines. The patrol ships dove through the canyon, weaving between rock spires. The warship followed, its massive size making turns difficult. Sparks and small collisions began as it scraped against rock and debris. Once inside the storm, Daniel signaled for the mineral explosives to detonate near the warship's hull. The bright blasts lit up the clouds, and the massive ship shook violently. Energy readings showed its power core destabilizing. Thomas cheered over the comms. It's working! Keep pushing! The warship tried to fire, but the storm and explosions made its weapons unreliable. Lightning struck near its hull, adding to the damage. Finally, Daniel led the patrol ships away, watching as the warship slowed and drifted, badly damaged. Mira analyzed the readings. Its propulsion systems are failing. It will have to retreat to orbit or risk destruction. Daniel smiled, though he knew the battle was not over. Send the signal to the colony. They need to know it's working. Back at Riverside Station, people watched the night sky. The massive warship appeared to retreat, leaving the planet's atmosphere. Cheers erupted throughout the colony. The humans had turned the tide, showing that intelligence, courage, and teamwork could overcome brute strength. Velran sat on his bridge, studying the reports. The humans are dangerous, he said. They adapt. We underestimated them. This war is far from over. Daniel looked at the sky from the observation deck, his face serious but proud. They thought we would run, he whispered to Mira. They were wrong. Humanity doesn't retreat. Mira nodded. And now they know it. We can survive this, Daniel. We can win. The night was calm again, but the victory gave Riverside Station hope. For the first time, they had turned a seemingly impossible situation into a sign of strength. The war was still deadly, but humanity had proven it would not back down. The days after the massive warship retreated were filled with rebuilding and preparation. Riverside Station had survived the most powerful attack it had ever faced, but the damage was clear. Buildings were scarred, patrol ships needed repairs, and fields had been disrupted by the storms. Commander Daniel walked through the colony, observing the workers repairing and restoring what they could. There was no fear in their eyes now, only determination. People moved quickly but carefully, helping each other without complaint. The sense of unity was stronger than ever. Mira joined him, carrying a tablet full of sensor readings. The Zerath fleet is still in orbit, she said, but none of their ships are descending. They're cautious after the last attack. Daniel nodded. Good. They're testing us, trying to see what we'll do next, but we know we can defend ourselves. Inside the command center, Helena and the engineers worked to improve defenses even further. Shields were repaired and reinforced, and new patrol routines were planned. Every miner, engineer, and farmer had a role in keeping the colony safe. Thomas leaned against a work table, wiping sweat from his face. We've never been this prepared before. If they come back, we'll be ready. Lewis, the young engineer, looked at the newly upgraded ships. And if they try the same trick again, they won't succeed. Daniel walked over, his expression calm but serious. They will test us again. The Zerath never give up easily. But they have learned one thing. Humans do not retreat. That knowledge is worth more than any weapon. The days passed. Supply lines were reopened through the temporary corridor they had created during the blockade mission. Food and energy arrived from other colonies, strengthening Riverside Station even more. People worked together, building stronger homes, repairing ships, and studying the rare mineral to enhance their defenses further. One morning, Daniel called the council together. We have survived, and we have strengthened. But we must stay alert. The Zerath may return, but we now have proof that we can face them and succeed. Mira added, They will respect us more now. They know that attacking a human colony is not simple. We can use that knowledge to protect other settlements too. As the sun set, painting the sky with orange and pink hues, the people of Riverside Station gathered in the central square. Children played near the fountains. Miners spoke to engineers about future plans, and families worked together on small projects. The air was filled with hope. Daniel stood on the observation deck with Mira. Together they looked at the sky, where the remaining Zerath ships orbited silently. Do you think they'll try again? Mira asked. Daniel shook his head, slowly. They might. But now, they know humanity is not afraid. They know we will fight, and we will survive. That is a message no fleet can ignore. Below, the colony's lights twinkled like stars on the ground. The people had learned how to work together, how to use the planet itself to their advantage, and how courage could turn fear into strength. One evening, scouts reported movement in the distance. A small group of Zerath ships had returned, but they did not approach aggressively. They stayed at the edge of the colony's radar range, observing. Velron, aboard his flagship, watched the humans carefully. They have survived our strongest ship, he said. They have shown resourcefulness and courage. We will withdraw for now, but they must be watched. Humanity may prove more dangerous than we imagined. Back on Riverside Station, Daniel gathered the council. They are still out there, he said, but they are no longer a direct threat. We have survived. We have learned. We have grown stronger. and we will continue to grow stronger every day." The council nodded. Helena smiled. "It feels good to see people working together without fear. We've earned this peace, at least for now." Weeks passed. The colony flourished. Patrol ships flew regularly, keeping watch over the skies. Mines produced rare minerals that strengthened defenses. Families celebrated small victories, and children learned about the courage it took to stand firm. Daniel and Mira walked through the colony one evening, looking at the people. "They've grown," Mira said. "They are no longer just settlers. They are defenders of this world." Daniel nodded. "Yes, and they have shown the universe what humanity can do when it refuses to retreat." Above, the stars shone brightly. The Zerath ships had retreated further, their power respected, but not feared. Humanity had proven its strength, and Riverside Station stood as a symbol of courage, unity, and determination. The humans had faced impossible odds, and they had not surrendered. The war was not over, but the message was clear. Humanity does not retreat. Humanity stands strong. The colony celebrated quietly that night. Children laughed, adults worked together, and the stars above seemed brighter than ever. For Riverside Station and for all of humanity, hope had returned, stronger than before.